Hello everybody, welcome to the Tristar Gym channel. Today's episode, we are doing another AMA together. Ask me anything, guys. I want to hear your comments and questions. I just came back from the Contender Series. I know CGI 2 was happening. I was in Vegas at the time. I didn't have time to go see the show. Too much going on for me in Vegas at the time I was there. I really did want to go see the show. I had one of my students, Ethan Krelliston, in there. Of course, my trainer, John Denar, had his team there. And I really wanted to come by and visit, but time did not permit. I didn't get a chance to see all the matches. I heard so much about it. But I want to congratulate Mandel Nalo for winning in first round KO. He defeated the Cage Warriors champion Samuel Silva and now got a contract in UFC. Mandel Nalo now is a UFC fighter. Congratulations to him. It's been a long time coming. He's been working his way to UFC for so many years. He got a chance to step up to the plate. He scored a beautiful knockout, and Dana White was super happy, super impressed. The whole team was there. Dana White, Hunter, Sean Shelby, Mick, everybody was there, and they're like, give this guy the thumbs up, give him a contract. So super happy to now announce that Mandel Nalo is now part of the UFC. Guys, use promo code SUMMER50 off and get 50% off anything on jujiclub.com. I just released powerful guard retention against half guard pressure, fighting off half guard pressure. Okay, so I did open guard, seated guard, and now half guard pressure. Guys, it's a very powerful video. I want to give a shout out to Rotullo Brothers. I show one of the top escapes I learned from the Rotullo Brothers, how to alleviate top pressure from half guard position. Somebody buy a copy and send it to DDP, please. Somebody. Do him a favor, reach out to me, DDP. I'll give you a copy for free. Okay, guys, with that said, I want to talk about anything fitness, jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing, and then we could talk about all the crazy stuff that I know you guys love to ask me. But first, we talk about fitness, boxing, jiu-jitsu. Okay, so I'm going to the chat, guys. Don't forget, I always do super chats and non-super chats. I don't just focus on the super chats. But if you guys do a super chat, I give you priority. All right, guys, so let's get it on. What else? What do we got here? All right, guys, you think if Alex blasts the inside leg kicks instead of trying to attack the calf off the leg kick, will he have more success against Ankalaev? That's from G Money. G Money, the thing is, look, that's a hard fight to pick because the last one, yes, Ankalaev won, but he didn't win by massive margins. Okay, now you're suggesting throwing the inside kick. G Money, I'll tell you something. Throwing the inside kick is a great kick. It's a fantastic kick. It sets up a lot. It can off-balance your opponent. You could sweep that leg out from under him, off-balance and then tag him with your hands. It's a great kick. However, if the guy's shooting in on you and you're throwing a pendulum kick, which is an inside kick, you can get taken down. A great example of that. A great example is when George St. Pierre fought Josh Koscheck for the first time. If you watch the first takedown that George got on Koscheck, and don't forget, at the time when we went into that fight, everybody was saying that Josh is going to out-wrestle George, that George has no chance in taking down Josh because Josh is such a much more experienced wrestler, meaning he has a much more extensive amateur career, which is true. He has hundreds of amateur matches, at least over 100, I would say, and George has a handful, okay? What does Koscheck do? He goes into the fight with George, and he does an inside low kick against George. What happened? He gets taken down. Now, fast forward to UFC 100. Thiago Alves throws a low kick on the outside on George and gets taken down in round one. So what I'm trying to say is when you low kick and you're fighting a guy who wants to take you down, whether you're low kicking to the inside or you're low kicking to the outside, in my opinion, it's high risk. Why? You're giving the guy the leg. And that's just two examples, okay? I can give you countless examples of a guy low kicking on a wrestler, whether it's inside or outside, and getting taken down. It's just risky. And Pereira loves those low kicks, but the thing is now he's fighting a guy who wants to take him down urgently. And he'll shoot on those legs if he gets a chance. Now, Pereira has been given a lot of guys who are going to stand up with him or can't really take him down. They don't have a real hope. Now he's fighting Ankalaev. That's why Ankalaev, I think, is the biggest threat because Pereira, I think it was in the second fight in UFC, fought a guy who was kind of a one-dimensional grappler, okay? Like he's well-rounded, you could say, but he was more of a grappler and nowhere near the striking ability of Pereira. And he took Pereira down, held him down, and then Pereira got up and did the scissor knee and knocked him out. But that guy wasn't as dangerous as Ankalev on top, and he wasn't as dangerous as Ankalev striking. When you have a guy who's dangerous striking and he's dangerous with the takedown, kicking is dangerous business. Congrats for us. Mandel put on a masterclass. That's from Jeremy MJ. Jeremy MJ. Mandel is Samurai MMA champion, and that guy, Samuel Silva, is Cage Warriors champion. They were both, regional champions, colliding in Contender. And the thing is with Contender, sometimes you see guys that are green, These two guys were not green. Now, I'll tell you something. There are other guys who are really well polished, but you could see some green, some green there. And these were two studs fighting each other, two guys who nobody wants to fight, two guys. The hardest thing for me was finding fights from Mandel now, because he's literally, all his wins are by finish, So it's just really hard for me to, that's why it took us so long to get him to the big stage. Anytime we'd say his name, people would hang up the phone. They're like, we don't want to fight that guy. We don't want to fight that guy. And now I'm glad he's in UFC, because we won't have that problem anymore. Of course, there are many talented fighters in UFC, and now it's going to be much more challenging from now on. But Samuel Silva, his opponent, is a UFC caliber fighter. He's a UFC caliber fighter. That guy's no joke. He's very tough. It was a very gritty first round. It ended with about 90 seconds left. They both got some licks in. They both traded hard. They're both primarily strikers. Even though they're both really good on the ground, they both love to get their job done on the feet. Okay, they're both black belts on the ground. They're both super slick on the ground. And they were trading, man. They were trading. And Mandel caught him with a little tiny, short, straight right, like a 1-inch punch, and crumbled him. That's why the thing, people say, oh, like you got to generate power. Yes, generating power is great, and I'm not against it, and it's fantastic. But the shot, also, it's very important to remember, shots fighters, your opponents don't see are also equally dangerous. Why? You don't have time to brace for the shot. So sometimes that small little sneaky shot the guy didn't see, you could touch him before he sees it. He didn't flex his muscles. He didn't brace himself. And that just sends a shockwave down the system, and that rattles your brain, cuts out the power to the legs, and you're crumbling. Can we achieve great in MMA if starts at the age 30 with no earlier training other than running? That's from Jatin. Jatin's asking, look, he doesn't have the best grammar, but he's asking, look, at the age of 30, if all you're doing before the age of 30 was running, can you start an MMA career from the age of 30 on? Prior to that, you've never thrown a punch and all you've done is running? I would tell you, Jatin, that's a tough one. That's really tough, because think about it. Look, if you were retired and you had all the money in the world and you're 30 years old, I tell you, look, let's get serious. Let's get the right trainers. Let's do everything right. And yeah, we can pass guys light years. Yeah, we can get there fast. But I mean, if you're telling me you're working a job, you're worried about your bills, you can't commit full time, and you're 30, so unless you're a gazillionaire who doesn't have to do anything else but train, and you really want it, and you have access to the best trainers, it's possible. But if you're just some regular Joe Blow and you don't know what you're doing and you're not super talented and you have a job you're working and you're sacrificing your weekends to train, if you're trying to do it that way, in my opinion, it's just do it for fun. Fight at the regional level, fight at the amateur level. Don't have aspirations for the big show, because for the big show, I'm telling you, it's a lot of work. These guys are serious competitors. They're not guys who are doing this half-ass. At that level, at the highest level, it's serious business. Thoughts on CGI 2? That's from Assam. Assam, I saw very little of CGI 2. Again, I was in Las Vegas. I was thinking, hey, should I pass by? Should I go in? I really wanted to see the show. Time didn't permit. I had so many things going on, and I was there for the Contender Series, so I decided to focus, get everything done right, the weight cuts, everything the preparation, the final touches, and of course, fight day. We're getting ready. So I landed on Saturday. I was thinking, should I go to the show? I would have loved to go. And, of course, I had family with me, so I had some family time on the side. I didn't end up going, but I heard so much about it, and I saw some of the matches, and I heard the result. And I'm really happy to hear that both B Team and New Wave got $1 million. From what I understand, they're both going to get $1 million. For those of you who are not aware, they're saying, it was a draw, so they went to the last match, and Nicky Rod had scored a 10-8 against Griffin. But New Wave had won more matches than B Team. I think it was 3-2, if I remember correctly. So the promoter, the investor behind it all, from what I understand, is also giving New Wave $1 million. So if that's true, salute, because that's really impressive that they did that. All right, friends, what else do we got here? Coach, who do you got between Jack Della and Islam Makhachev? That's them from the MMA fan. Guys, I love Islam Makhachev. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to get it done. I know Bilal Muhammad wasn't able to really take down and control JDM, okay? But I got to tell you, he did his training camp during Ramadan. I don't want to make any excuses, but I think doing a training camp during Ramadan is a really difficult thing to do. And I think it had a lot to do with it. And that's not something Bilal ever told me. And he would never say something like that. He would never say something publicly like that. Never. I just think it had a lot. I think JDM is great. I think he's fantastic. I think he's going to be very hard to take down. I think this is going to be a very difficult fight. Very difficult fight. However, if you watch the Gilbert Burns fight, Gilbert's taking him down repeatedly, consistently, etc. Whereas Bilal wasn't able to get the takedowns going. Now, I think it has a lot to do with him pushing himself too much, too extreme. Because, I do Ramadan every year, and I could tell you, I'm just a trainer. I'm not even competing, and it's very difficult. It's a difficult thing. In the summer, in the heat, it's not easy, He's doing it, and he's fighting for a world title. I found out to be extreme. And I think it I'm saying that. He's never said that, okay? I got to make that seriously, openly clear, because I don't want people saying, I don't want to be putting words in the man's mouth. But it is a very difficult thing. I mean, the body has limits. The human body has limits, and I find that to be a very difficult thing to do. Now, Islam, I think, is maybe more experienced in the wrestling, and he's going to be just as big or bigger than Bilal. So I think Islam Makhachev is going to get it done. And the thing is with Islam, he's a consistent finisher. And he seems to have a Darce choke that nobody could stop and an arm triangle that nobody can stop. And the thing is with that, those are two moves that you can't slip out of. It doesn't matter how sweaty it is. It actually helps if it's sweaty conditions. So I felt like Bilal and GDM, things were slipping around. And, I even asked Bilal, I talked to him right after the fight. I was there at the same time. It was in Montreal. And he told me, look, the conditions were slippery and he was having trouble like grabbing onto him because he's so slippery. Not that he was saying he was vazzed up or anything. Nothing like that at all. He's just saying the conditions were sweaty. We were sweaty. It was late in the fight. The sweat was there. We were deep in a hard fight here, And I could see that. I understand that. But also, his Makhachev's style of grappling, it doesn't affect him as much, the sweat. Why? Because it's actually easier to put on katakatami when things are a little bit sweaty, and Darce, it could be actually a little bit easier. Not that much easier, but a little bit easier. So I don't think it's going to affect him as much, even though sweat is a major issue. As things get sweaty, it helps favor the guy who's trying to escape. Coach, who's the better fighter, Rat Garbage or Mando? I think you mean Mandel. That's from Jeremy MJ. Guys, Mandel has the greatest or the worst fight name in history. I don't know which one it is, but we call him Rat Garbage. We also call him Mango, but I don't know how to explain to you guys his nickname. It's more of the guys at Tristar, they're very goofy. They make a lot of jokes, and they're kind of ridiculous. They like being ridiculous. I'm sure there's a story behind the name Rat Garbage. I think I've heard it once upon a time. I think he saw a rat near a garbage can or something like that, and they took a picture of it or something like that. I can't remember. You guys should follow him on Instagram and ask him, where did the inspiration for this Rat Garbage? I know he has a clothing line and all that. A Rat Garbage clothing line. My kids love it. My kids are asking me, we want a Rat Garbage t-shirt. They love Rat Garbage. They love his nickname. They laugh when they hear his name. What's his nickname? I'm like, Rat Garbage. They start cracking up. And after the fight, I texted my sons. I'm like, from now on, he only eats from the finest dumpsters. Only the top quality garbage will Rat Garbage eat out from. Now, it's probably because, at the dorms, these guys all started at the dorms. Him, Ayman Zahabi, my brother, he fought Jose Aldo. He won against Jose Aldo. They're making it now. But they used to live in a dorm where it was broke. Times are rough. After the fight, Mandel's like, oh, yeah, that's because they showed a picture of all the guys in the dorms watching the fight. He's like, that's where I started from. I got to tip my hat to Contender Series. They really do it right. They send a camera to your hometown. They film your family cheering you on at the show. So there's a live feed of your family and friends watching you from your home country. it's like it pumps everybody up, because you don't want to, you don't want to let down the family, and everybody's there is watching it. They're broadcasting it live. It's crazy. And the guys got together at the dorms, and all the OGs of the dorm were there. Shout out to Robbie Stein. He started the dorm. I was even telling him at the time. I was like, no, don't do a dorm. It's gonna be a headache. Don't do that. He's like, no, let's do a dorm. He's a good friend of mine. He's like, oh, let's do a dorm. And he went and he did the project. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, because so many great guys came out of there. And I mean, we had so many big names come out of that dorms, like Whitaker, Kenny Florian, like so many guys lived in that dorms. It's crazy. It's a crazy list, like Arnold Allen, all these guys. And of course, it made great memories, but also built great fighters. And I remember, like, after the win, they showed the dorms, and Mandel's like, hey, that's where I got my start. He's like, our kitchen counter was a piece of plywood. Yeah, we were roughing it, guys. Let me tell you. That song there, it started from the bottom. That's the Tristar dorms. That was the bottom. But not that we didn't love it. We loved every second of it. And believe me, it made some incredible memories. But, they're fighters, right? We were roughing it. We were, giving cheap living, training all day long, just a place to sleep and eat. That's it. That's all we needed. We needed a place to sleep and eat. And our home was really the gym. Can Marvin Vittori come back under the top 5? That's from Tiziano. I didn't see Marvin Vittori's last fight. I heard it was a war. I didn't get a chance to watch it. Actually, thank you for the reminder. Actually, I've been meaning to watch it, but I heard he had a tough loss. But I do hope he bounces back. I've hung out with Vittori. I've trained with him, and I'm pretty sure he's going to figure out what went wrong and get back to it. He's a very intelligent guy and very, very capable man. He fought Adesanya twice, for goodness sake. So, I mean, the man is going to be coming back. Is it true you used to train Ethan on B Team? That's from John Smith. Yes, that's correct. I used to train Ethan. He made it all the way to brown belt with me. And then, of course, he went to the U.S. to train with my trainer, John Denahar. And I heard Ethan won now $200,000. He was one of the 5 guys who won $1 million. So, Ethan, if you're hearing this, I'm coming to collect. Don't worry, I didn't forget. I'm coming to collect a chunk of that. I'm saying that in joking. Of course, he knows that. Nobody take me seriously. He if he heard that, he would laugh. I know a lot of you are going to take it seriously, start writing stuff, but don't, please. Like, I don't want to get Keanu'd again. I remember I made a joke about Keanu Reeves, and it was in the Montreal paper, and then it was in the Hindu Times, and it was ridiculous, guys. It was a joke. Come on, it was a joke. Now, I know somebody out there, some reporters like, Coach Zahabi now says he's going to collect from his student percentage of his... It's a joke, okay? I got to tell people my jokes now, because my jokes are obviously not funny. People don't know it's a joke. What's your opinion on Moneyberg guy getting his black belt in 3 years? Never competed. No good footage of him sparring 100%. That's from Ron B. Ron B, I don't know. I've heard guys talk to me about him in the gym. Like my students, somebody says, Coach, you've heard of Moneyberg. Did you hear that? I'm like, who's Moneyberg? Then I saw some YouTube videos on my feed, but I didn't click on one of them. I don't know anything about the Moneyberg story. I heard Jake Shields gave him his black belt. Okay, so me, I really know Jake Shields. He's a serious OG. He's a no-nonsense guy. Is it a money thing? Is the guy legitimate black belt? I got no idea. But I wouldn't spend too much time worrying about it. I mean, for me, it's not really a very interesting topic. But if I ever hang out with, well, I'm sure I'll see Jake Shields again. I'm going to ask him. If I can remember, hey, what's this Moneyberg story? I would ask him. I'll have no doubt. I would have no reservations of asking him. I don't even know if I would think about it, because I don't find it that particularly interesting. Coach, how do you deal with plateaus in your jiu-jitsu training? That's Supera Lee 30. Supera, that's such a great question. And I think after like 5 years of training, that's the only question. I think, the first 2 years you're like, oh, the more I train, the better I get. But after 4 years, it starts to slow down. After 5 years, you start feeling plateaus, and you're like, I'm training more, but I'm not getting much better. I'm training more, I'm not getting much better. It's kind of like squeezing an orange, like the first squeeze, so much orange juice comes out because there's so much potential in you. And then you squeeze a little more, and you're like, whoa, I'm squeezing more and more, but less and less juice is coming out. I'm using both hands, and I'm squeezing really hard, and I'm doing more, and I'm getting less. Whereas the first squeeze of that orange, I I was barely using 15% and there was so much juice. Well, that's how the human body is. I think personally, breaking through plateaus is the only question. Whenever I train an athlete, I look at him and I think. And I'm like, how am I going to break through the next plateau? I think it's introducing one of them. There are many ways. One is to introduce novelty into your training. So a lot of times I'll try new moves, something I'm not good at, something I'm not familiar with, some kind of philosophy or strategy I'm not familiar with. Why? Because number one, it makes it fun again. It makes it new again. I'm a student. I'm trying to figure out this attack or this position or this system. You know, like maybe I might start doing crucifix all over again. I see somebody who, shows a crucifix move or a combination of like, that's not really in my repertoire. Let me go try it and make it work. Something that excites me, something I can add, but it's got to be something new. That's what novelty is. Okay, I got to get something new in the game. And I think it hits two birds with one stone. One, it makes training fun again. Because I got to tell you, if you've been training as long as me, sometimes I'm going through the routine and it's boring as hell. Like, I don't want to do this submission. I've just done it like 30 times this last week. I'm going to do it. Is it going to help for me to do it 30 more times this week? Like, you're going through the same system. Like just to give you guys an example, okay? I invented a new way to mount somebody. Now, again, it's still something I'm working on, but I call it the crocodile mount. And I tease my students. I put them in the crocodile mount. And I start telling them, oh, you guys have never heard of the crocodile mount, eh? And it's just kind of like joke around, we're just kind of like banter in the gym. But I'm doing this new mount, a new way of getting on top of somebody and holding them down where they can't do anything. And their only escape is to give me their back, basically, okay? And now, again, it's something I'm refining, having fun with, but I really think it's a very powerful way to mount people. So now I'm getting into practice, and my main goal is to pass the guard, mount, get on top of the guy, take him down, get on mount, and then see if you can break through the crocodile position. Now, usually when you mount somebody, you have one hand on either side of his body. Okay, so I have my hand on one side of your body and the other hand on the other side of your body, and our chests are kind of aligned. In crocodile mount, both my hands are on the same side of your body. And I'm kind of sprawling in this weird way. Okay, I'd have to demonstrate. It's not easy. But two of my hands are on the same side of your body. So now you can only bridge me in one direction. If you bridge me in that one direction, I'm taking your back. Okay, and I'm doing other things. I'm putting you in a side choke. I'm putting you in an arm and guillotine. I'm doing all sorts of crazy stuff. But that's a lot of fun for me. It's a lot of fun. And the reason I started doing it is because my students are really good at, if you mount them, they go into leg locks. They go kipping escape and they pull their knee in, and all of a sudden you're defending a leg lock. So I really don't want to be leg locked. So I started doing this kind of weird mount. And I realized that not only is it a good way to stop the kipping escape, it's also really difficult to escape. Now, this is a new way for me to take people's backs. It broke through plateaus. What I'm trying to tell you is, whenever you hit a plateau, introduce novelty. And that's true for boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and fitness. Okay, so if you've been squatting the same way for many years, you try a different type of squat, now your body has to readapt, and it's fun. Coach, did you see Ethan get his ass kicked by Dorian Oliveira's face blue smiling? That's from Hachin Lee. I watched most of that match. And I got to tell you guys, Dorian's a very special guy. He's a very, very special and unique grappler. He's giving that problem to everybody, not just to Ethan. Okay, and I know they trained together in the past, so Ethan knew it was coming. And Dorian is a very, very special athlete. I look forward to revisiting and all his matches and watching him very closely, because there's something he's doing that's really, really impressive. I mean, he's doing the same move over and over again, the same formula. He found a hack to everybody's guard. It's incredibly impressive. And when you see a guy like that, you got to kind of like watch him, and then go in the practice room and try it and see, like, how does this work? What is he exploiting? And you got to figure it out so it doesn't continuously happen. Like, he's exploiting a weakness in jiu-jitsu, and the whole jiu-jitsu community has got to take notice, because this shouldn't be happening at this level, generally speaking. So where's the weakness? Where's the bleeding? Let's put a stop to it. But again, I have to say that Oliveira is incredibly impressive. I'm really a big fan of his. Bill B. Millie asks, "Hi, Coach. During wrestling, I was drilling a trip. My partner did it incorrectly and pushed his leg inside my knee. Bending ankle forward made a loud pop. How do I deal with this and recover? I'm sad." That's from Bill Millie. Bill, get strong and stable knees for life. And there's this podcast segment. I talk about injuries. I talk about that. I got to grandfather this question. I'm very sorry to hear that your knee and ankle bent forward and you heard a loud pop. I would highly, highly recommend you go see a physiotherapist and ask him for the McMurray test, and see what kind of tendons you might have injured. Take 2-3 weeks off. Let the stiffness come down. Don't do anything more than walking or very, very light pedaling on a bike. Okay. Massage the upper and lower muscles, so the muscles above your knee, below your knee, the calf muscle area, etc. Don't do anything that causes pain. Okay, so I talk about the pain rule. Make sure to get strong and stable knees for life. Get strong and stable back for life, guys. It's such an important video. I'm 45 years old. I literally wrestle every single day, and I'm very, very rarely ever injured. Okay, like today I rolled. I think I did like 4 rounds of 7 minutes of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And before that, I gave pads to 2 professional fighters. I spent 2 hours doing pads. It's a brutal, guys, holding pads is brutal on the body, man. Brutal. Like just getting hit. And if you ever seen me do pads, it's like rapid fire. I'm a crazy like rapid fire holder. Now, when the camera comes on, I don't show them what I do. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I never do rapid fire stuff like in front of the camera because I don't want anybody copying me. But I'm a high volume, high power style paddle holder. After 2 hours of that, I change up and go and do jiu-jitsu. My body's like from all the swelling and inflammation. You got to know how to take care of your body. It's super massively important. Coach, how should I grow my hand thickness, muscles, and bones through stress to add a little more power to the end of my punches? That's from Bobby Tom. Bobby Tom, look at these mitts. See these mitts? I'll tell you something. You ever see karate guys' hands, how thick they are? Because they hit the plywood, they hit the sandbag. So I saw that. I was like, oh, that's a genius, because they don't wear gloves. They make their hands like rocks. And you can increase the calcium and bone density in your hand. So I find boxers, they baby their hands too much. So I hit the bag a lot of times with no gloves. I might do that for a few minutes. I won't break the skin. I've seen guys try to copy me and they break the skin on their hands. I would say that's the worst idea. Why? Infection. Then you put your hand in the glove and you're hitting and your open wound is getting festered. It's getting all sorts of germs. No, don't break the skin. Okay. If it's the first time, just do a few punches. Toughen up. Like I can hit the bag for an hour. I won't break the skin. Why? My skin in the fist is so hard because I've been doing it for years. I like to start hitting the bag. I know it sounds crazy. Like if you go in a boxing gym and you hit the bag without a glove, they're going to think you're crazy. They're going to think, oh, this guy a lunatic. Get him out of here. They're not going to like it. Why? They have a tradition. But the thing is, their tradition doesn't make sense. They break their hands all the time. And I get it. Why? Because they're hitting people on the head nonstop, more than any other sport. But it makes sense to toughen up your hands. So me, what do? I hit the bag without my gloves. And then I'll put on gloves. Now, I'm not saying I do it all the time, but I've hit the bag without gloves regularly. Why? Because I kick the bag without shin pads on. Why? I want to toughen up my shin. So I think also putting on a bag glove and hitting the bag glove without hand wrap. Everybody's like hand wrapping, bundling up their hands. Why? Is your hand hurting? I don't put on a hand wrap to hit the glove. Never. Unless I have pain in my hand. So I personally never use hand wrap unless I have a pain in my wrist or hand. Then I support it some more. If I spar, I would wrap my hands. I would. If I was doing a professional sparring, which I used to do, I would wrap my hands. Why? Because now you're going harder and you're hitting sometimes the skull, you can injure your hand. But when I work the bag, I'm controlling everything and I'm not worried about hitting a hard bone like the top of the head because I'm hitting a bag. So for me, it doesn't make sense to wear hand wraps while you're wearing a glove. You have to toughen up your hands. And people always, like I have very thick bones in my hands. Why? Well, I've been hitting the bag for 10 years, more than 10 years, okay, 20 plus years. But for 10 years, I realized that I was wearing too much padding on my hands. And when I took off the padding, I really thickened up my hands. Okay, so I'm a big believer in not overly babying your hands. You got to find that right amount of protection. You don't want too much protection. You don't want too little. Hey, Coach, what's your take on BSD versus Roofy? Do you take BSD stands a chance in this fight? That's from Mindful Stoic. Mindful Stoic, man. I love the way you think because that's an exciting fight that's happening this weekend. Let me tell you guys. I'm so excited about this fight. Benoit Saint Denis fighting Roofy. Guys, this is such an exciting fight. Oh, I can't wait. Look, BSD is a nice guy. I met him in person. He's a killer. He has a mentality of a killer. He wants to fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, any place. I love the guy. He's fighting Roofy in his hometown. This is happening in Paris. That's crazy, man. You're fighting Roofy who is an assassin in your hometown. It's a gutsy call. Now, I'll tell you something. If he gets to the fight to the ground, and BDS can do it. BDS is a gritty wrestler. He shoots very low. He tangles fighters up. He could take down anybody. However, Rufy can knock anybody's head off his shoulders. Oh, it's a beautiful fight. Like, if he goes to the ground, BSD. If it stays standing up, Rufy. It's a matter of time before Rufy puts the pain on him. Is it going to go to the ground? I think a little bit, but ultimately I think Rufy gets back to his feet and takes care of business. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Thank you very much for your answer from Switzerland. That's from Tiziano. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Nalo, best Indian fighter. That's from Big Man. Yes, that's correct. India is finally on the map. How to survive fighting multiple opponents. Make a video, please. That's from Rezo. Rezo. Ooh, that's a complicated question. Teach us new... Coach, are you going to teach us the new mount? That's from Hoa Chai Lee. Maybe one day I'll do a little video or a role narration. I'm due for a role narration, and if I'm using it and I caught it on video, I'll show you guys. I'll be like, guys, I call this the crocodile mount. You know, what do you guys think? You know, try it out. But, you know, it needs a lot of refinement. You know, I'm exploring all the different ways I can control somebody with this mount. And I really like it because it stops the guy from being able to elbow escape. He can't just put me in half guard, so the guy's kind of stuck. I love having complete control. I love getting on top of somebody and finding a position where I have complete control. Now, there's no such thing as complete control, but as close to possible of complete control. You know, so I feel like every day I go in the gym, I'm trying to find ways to control somebody even more. Why? The more you control them, the easier it is to put them away. Like, the sub becomes really easy to put on. As long as I can control you, as long as you can't move your arm, you can't move your leg, you're not able to turn left, you're not able to turn right, you're not able to get up to your knee, like you can't get to your elbow. Oh, you're completely vulnerable. I've crushed you here. You're completely at my mercy. Oh, here's five different submissions I can corral you in. So I really feel that the crux of the matter is how much can I control you? It's like if I tied you up. Well, once I tie you up, I can do anything I want now. I can kick you anywhere I want. I can punch you anywhere I want. I can grab you, throw you down the stairs, as long as you're tied up. So for me, I've been really focusing my energy in all these little positions. Where is the control? Anuki, I never talk about fights on my channel that I'm also preparing. Okay, so I never talk about the fighters that are preparing with me because it wouldn't be professional. It wouldn't be to their benefit. Okay, so I couldn't do that. Coach Zahabi super chats. I think I did it. Oh, did I miss one? Here it is. No. I did the super chat. Oh, here we go. Coach, I have 2 months to lose fat for a BJJ comp. Any advice? Thank you very much. Well, Seabreeze, number one, you want to lose half a pound of fat per week. Not faster, or else you're going to dip in performance. I highly recommend intermittent fasting. Have a breakfast, have a snack, have lunch, a snack, but no dinner. I will tell you, eat between 9 or 10, starting from 9 or 10 a.m., depending on your schedule, but don't eat after 6. Okay? And try to keep your carbs potatoes. If you really want to lose weight fast, take potatoes, boil them. Salt, boiled, that's it. It's very satiating. It's a very good carb. It's low in calorie, and you need it for performance. Okay, so potato, and if the weight's coming off nicely, consider adding rice or even bread. But small amounts of rice and small amounts of bread because you got to lose a lot of weight fast. And, of course, after that, it's lean cuts of meat, green vegetables, a little bit of fruit. Okay, but I would tell you, eat between 10 and 6 or 9 and 6, depending on how hard you train. I'm not sure what your schedule is exactly, but stop eating at 6. After that, it's just water. You go to practice, you train. After training, it's just water. You're going to wake up a little bit lighter, and try not to overdo your diet. Okay, don't be too strict. You don't want to lose more than half a pound to a pound a week. More than a pound a week is not good. Then you would want to increase your calories. Okay, so go weigh yourself every week. And I would weigh myself every second or third day because your weight's going to fluctuate. But try to see, am I getting a pound lighter this week? Okay, but don't drive yourself crazy with weight because you're going to fluctuate up and down. Okay, so it doesn't go down in a straight line. It goes down in waves. Okay, so I would tell you, aim for boiled potatoes. It's very cheap. Take your potatoes, wash them. Don't cut off the skin. Keep the skin. Boil it. Add salt. Eat them. Enjoy. You can put a little bit of olive oil, just a touch. It's satiating. It's a healthy carb. After that, you need your proteins, and I would say vegetables. tomatoes, cucumbers, broccoli, whatever. Then a little bit of fruit. But the bulk of your calories should come from chicken breast, potato, etc. Especially if you have potatoes in the morning, you're going to be full all day. Coach, why are body shots so underutilized in MMA? It's a high risk, low reward strike? Question mark. That's from Tito. Tito, the distance is greater. That's the problem. Okay, because the thing is, in boxing, it's much easier to get closer to your opponent. Why? You don't have to worry about kicks, right? Kicks are a long range weapon. So if I'm boxing with you, I can get this close. If kicks are involved, I got to go here because I got to stay outside your kicks. Now in MMA, you're wearing little gloves. Whoa, I don't want to get hit one of those shots. So I move back a little bit further. Now you want to hit a body shot. Well, for a body shot, you got to be here. But we're not often here, right? And now in MMA, if we get this close, I'm allowed to grab you and wrestle you and choke you and elbow you. So it's safer to be grabbing you. So what happens is in MMA, you're often here or you're here. Whereas in boxing, you're either here and you're here. You're often here and here. Because in boxing, you're not supposed to grab. I know oftentimes they grab, but the referee can give you a warning. So they get into that body shot distance way more often than MMA guys. And even when MMA guys do get in the body shot distance, there are other good options like the elbow, the clinch, the knee, etc., the wrestling. So because there's so many more options, it's natural that the body shot is going to get diluted. CGI 1 was better. That's from Bazizi. Bazizi. I didn't see CGI 2, but I like the one-on-one format. Quintets are cool. But, you know, Assalamu alaikum. I had a lumbar fusion a year ago. Should I go back to doing privates with a black belt? Kind of slowly transition back to regular class. That's from Sultan. Yes, I totally agree. If you're having back fusion, I would tell you start slow. Go with your symptoms. You know, if you're feeling pain, lightening it up. Because the thing is, when you have back fusion, it creates a domino effect, right? Your other vertebrae are under more stress than they would because they're picking up the stress on that one fused disc that you have. Okay, so I would start back slow. I would do a lot of prehab. Okay, don't let your back get injured again. Get strong and stable back, of course. Okay, use that promo code SUMMER50OFF. It's on the bottom of your screen. It's in the description. Get strong and stable back for life and keep your back healthy for life. 80% of people have back pain. 80%. It's the most important video you ever buy, okay? Strong and stable back for life. Absolutely important. All right, gentlemen, what else do we have here? I have to cut not too long. Coach, you never showed us the trailer you shot that you promised on a previous AMA. That's from Assam. Assam, man, that's a good one. I have to show you guys Got Beef. I did show it. You missed the one I showed it, but I'll show it again. I did a trailer once. It was called Got Beef. It was just hilarious. But listen, please remind me again on another day because today I'm short on time. But I have shown it. I have shown it on a podcast. I will do it again though. Coach, how do you feel getting older? That's from Jamie. Jamie, I don't feel any difference. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel any difference. I feel the same. So I feel like as technology and science progresses and knowledge is expanded, we know more about staying young. Okay, we know more. Like if you look, in the ancient world, people died at the age of 30. 40 was like ancient. 40 were like super old. 60 were like 1% of people got to 60. Of course, now today we're living twice that. We're living to 80. I think it's slowly going to move to 95, 100. And, because I'm training every day, I should be in that upper echelon. Doesn't mean I'm going to make it there, but I'm just saying should be because, I'm training so much. I eat so well, etc. But you never know how life goes. But inshallah, I'll live a long age. But the thing is, I also believe that people who get old, they just don't know better. They don't know better. Like, for instance, just drinking water. Like, drinking water is massive in staying young. Massive. I'll tell you how we know that. Drinking water is a modern phenomenon. It's a modern phenomenon. 200 years ago, people didn't drink water on a regular basis. Like, it wasn't like every meal you're drinking water. Like, I drink water at every meal all day long. I'm drinking water all day long. It's the most important drink. And I'll tell you, it's raining outside. When human beings started drinking water, water bottles became a thing. we've noticed that people are looking younger, because if we look at pictures from like the 60s and 70s, and the young kids in high school look like 30-year-old men. It's crazy. Like our high school pictures today look so much younger than the high school pictures of yesterday. Why? One of the correlations, again, it's not proven, okay? It's just a correlation, is the consumption of drinking water. People started consuming a lot. It became more culturally normal to drink water every day, all day long. The water bottle, if you told somebody 100 years ago, hey, buy a water bottle, people are like, why would I spend money on water? Like, I have that from the tap. I just open the tap and drink water. Why would I drink from a water bottle? Water bottles became a thing. Now, everywhere you go, the hotel room gives you a water bottle. Everywhere you go to the airport, the water, they offer you water. You're on the plane, they offer you water. It wasn't like that. It wasn't a trend. Now we have a trend. Water is a massive trend. And of course, now scientifically speaking, we know what water does to the system. Water is good for absolutely every function of the body. Now, can you have too much water? People don't know this, but yes, you can have too much water. So don't overdo it. But drink water every day. It's an appetite suppressant. It keeps you regular. It keeps your skin healthy. It keeps your skin young. We know now, of course, more about vitamins and minerals, micronutrients. 25 years ago, we didn't know about micronutrients. Knowledge and science is spreading. Everybody has more knowledge now, more access to knowledge, I should say. So, if you have a tummy ache, you can ask ChatGPT, how do I take care of this tummy ache? And it'll give you all sorts of health advice. Health is more accessible than ever. So anybody who doesn't take care of their health, in my opinion, they're just being lazy. All right, guys, just give me 1 second. I got to step out. Okay, everybody, sorry about that. My daughter's coming home from school. I want to make sure she's not in the rain or anything like that, because it's like a massive thunderstorm now. All right, what else we got here? Okay, Yu's got to go and time out here. Yu, I'm just going to give you like a... Oh, no, I just pinned the message. Damn it. I did the opposite of what I wanted to do. Shit. Okay, unpin and time out. Where's this guy? There he is. Yeah, Gazelle, I'm here. Put user in timeout. I'm going to put you 30 minutes, okay, in the penalty box. 30 minutes. Hold on a second, boys. Hey, Habibi. All right, gentlemen, where are we at here?
Is it fine if I watch the TV?
Yeah, go for it. Okay, so where else are we at here? Coach, what would you do if you got gynaecomastia? I don't know, but I would be devastated. I wouldn't be happy. I don't know. I would do whatever it takes not to have it. Like, I don't know what I'd get an operation. I couldn't live without gynaecomastia. Guys, for those of you who don't know who gynaecomastia is when like men who take steroids, it's usually a side effect of steroids. They start getting breast. Because when they're cycling off, their estrogen levels are higher, temporarily higher than their testosterone levels as they fluctuate from a cycle, and their breast will start to protrude. Eesh, man, I would go on a like 48-hour fast. I don't know what I would do. I would do something extreme. I couldn't live like that. Salam, coach. I'm 22. I already have knee and back problems. How can I solve this? That's from Elias, somebody answer to Elias. I'm not going to repeat that answer. Elias, I've said it too many times. I got to grandfather that question. Please check the videos and you'll get all the answers you need. Coach, thoughts on Tony's win and Till knocking out Rockhold? That's from the Resistance Witness. I saw the Till Rockhold knockout. It was pretty devastating. That was a hard knockout, man. That was tough. Yeah, impressive, man. Till is a killer. I don't know like why he's not in the UFC still. I mean, if this guy was focused and fighting and regularly fight, he would have made it maybe to a world title. I think he's very impressive. I know you had a hard loss to DDP and all that, but you can come back from those kind of things. You can make adjustments and come back stronger. He's a killer striker, man. He's really good. Tony Ferguson, finally in the win column. I'm very happy for him. Congratulations to Tony. The guy he fought, I don't know who he is. So I don't know how big of a win it is, but I'm very happy to see him get a big win. Good for him. Thoughts on this weekend's card? That's from Lame MMA. I'm super excited. Nasruddin is taking on... I always have trouble saying his name, but the crazy Brazilian from Nerds. I was just watching his fights yesterday. I hate that I don't know how to say his name. Hold on. I got to hear it again. He's such a killer, man. Hold on a second. How do they say his name again? Bohailio. It's like an H sound, you know? He's a killer. I just want to hear how they say his name.
The judges are ready. This makes mark 80 and 1 no contest. Fighting out of São Luís, Maranhão, Brazil. Here is Kyle, the natural Ohio.
I love his name, Bohailio, but I can't pronounce it. I'm just gonna call him Caio, but I love his name, Bohailio. I love it. I love the H in the because you know Arabs us we say we roll the H. It's a lot of them. They make it not the H. I said the R. Excuse me. We roll the R. Then they turn it into an H. Bohailio. I love it, but it's so opposite of how we talk, you know. But I love his name. I'm just gonna call him Caio. Guys, that's a crazy fight. Nasruddin versus Caio. Crazy fight. I'm favoring Nasruddin. I'm going to be going with Nasruddin, but both similar in style, both outside fighters, strikers, both are good on the ground, but I think Nasruddin's going to have the edge in wrestling. I think he's going to sneak in a takedown here and there, where I think Caio, he's missed some takedowns and it kind of backfires in a way. So I think Nasruddin's wrestling is neater, cleaner, more reliable. I'm going with Nasruddin. Coach Salam, please do a quick breakdown of Gane versus Aspinall. Do you think Tom's inability to defend the body/head kicks will be an issue for him? Do you think he can go 5 rounds? That's from Pakulu. I think Aspinall is not going to have a problem with the head kick. Maybe the body kick, but I don't think so. He's a hard hitter. He's a much better grappler and wrestler than Gane. He's going to surprise. I think personally it's a matter of time before he takes Gane down. I mean, I saw footage of Gane training, and his takedown defense is not the most stellar. Ngannou took him down, but Ngannou was a brick house. Yes, I think Ngannou can surprise almost anybody. But ultimately, I think Tom Aspinall is going to be very difficult to deal with on the feet, and he's going to be getting takedowns. And on the ground, he's going to have a much better jiu-jitsu and ground and pound or whatever. He's just going to be better on the ground by a significant margin. John Jones took a Gane down, but again, that's John Jones, but he did it from coming up from lightweight. I think he takes down Gane and controls him and subs him if it goes on the ground. However, it could be ground and pound, but he gets him to the ground and finishes him. I don't think Gane is going to do too much positive work on the ground. It's all going to be defense, and trying to get up to his feet. Whereas Aspinall is going to put it on him. He's going to want to engage on the ground. He's going to want to pin him and elbow him. He's going to want to expose his back and choke him. Does he get a sub or a TKO? I don't know which one it is, but I do believe Aspinall can finish him on the ground with either. Standing up, it's going to be a close contest, man. It's going to be a close contest. The way Aspinall stands, I'm not too worried for him with head kicks. Of course, anything can happen, but more body kicks and, did I say leg kicks? I mean, I'm not worried for him receiving head kicks. Aspinall stands, I think, keeps him safe from head kicks. He's more exposed to low kicks and body kicks. But then again, I still think that low kicking Aspinall is a recipe for disaster. I think Gane, if he low kicks Aspinall, is going to get taken down. If he body kicks Aspinall, he's going to get taken down. He's left using his hands. His hands are good. Aspinall is going to be too smart, too quick. Again, guys, this is all heavyweight, right? Heavyweight, one punch changes everything, statistically speaking. They knock each other out more than any other division, obviously, because there's so much power in that division. But I'm heavily favoring Aspinall. Let's be honest, Coach. Sorry, let's be honest. Butt scooting looks ridiculous, coach. That's from Adam Rogers. Adam Rogers, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But the thing is, like, we have to allow it. Why? Because maybe you get one guy that has so much more wrestling. And we're not in a wrestling match, right? If you want to be the best wrestler, go in a wrestling tournament. Here, we want to see guys grapple on the ground. We want to see the ground portion. So I think it makes sense pulling guard. But I think what doesn't make sense is they don't give enough stalling. Like, the guy on top has to be engaging. The guy on the bottom has to be engaging. We don't want to watch you guys just hold each other for 30 minutes, okay? We want to see you guys attack. So I think we got to make the rules more exciting. So you look at Levi Jones. I like to watch Levi Jones, even though he flops to his butt. I get it. Maybe it's not the most dynamic way to get going, but his guard is very aggressive. It's very dynamic. He doesn't stop attacking. Like, he's something I think the rules should make mandatory. If you're not fighting like this, get off the mat. We don't want to watch you fight. Like, you got to be like a Levi. He's always constantly attacking. He's always, like, you never saw a boring Rotullo match. They're always constantly attacking. Wrestling is like that. Wrestling, freestyle wrestling, is geared towards aggression. It favors the aggressor. If me and you are tied at 1-1, well, the guy who scored the first point wins. So they're telling you, look, put points on the board. Attack. If you attack, it entertains the fans, and we will reward you for it. The rules should be geared because the competitors will always play with the rules. They look at the rules, they study them quickly, and they're like, hey, how do I use these rules to win? And that's okay because that's what fighters are supposed to do, competitors are supposed to do. The rule makers have to solidify slowly. We have to keep experimenting with the best rule set, and I think Jiu-Jitsu is still doing that. And I love the pit, by the way. Look how I saw some of the CGI too. You know, at one point, like, I was watching, I think it was Pena and Dorian. And Dorian was like kind of mounted on him on the wall. It was crazy. It's like the wall makes you want to fight in the center of the mat. You have to engage your opponent. If you circle back, if you show any passivity, the wall actually helps your opponent take you down. It's really difficult. You can't sprawl against the wall. Whereas in MMA, because the wall is vertical, you shoot on me, it actually helps me stay up a lot of the time. Coach, who's your favorite German philosopher? That's from Yusuf. Yusuf, oh, that's such a good question. I'd probably have to go with Kant and or Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer, not that I love him as a person. I think he was a vile human being. Like, when you read his biography, he was such a vile and disgusting human being. But he really did something special. He added to the works of Immanuel Kant. And he reached a very close proximity to mysticism, which I found very impressive of him. Even though he was a very vile human being, he still said something so profound. And he said many things that are profound, but I did find his thinking to be very impressive, even though I do find that some of his other thoughts are vile, disgusting, and putrid. However, he does have some very, very significant contributions to philosophy, mainly his work. I'm forgetting the name. Can you believe it? Hold on a second. I got to look it up because I'm going to be upset with myself. Will and... look at that. I typed my typo. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of this book. One of my favorite books. Will and Representation. Goodness gracious. Will and Representation. One of the greatest books ever written. Salam, Coach, have you ever heard of Amir Gonheim? A BJJ black belt from Ontario. He won multiple Canadian competitions. What are your thoughts about him? I am his student. That's from Amir Gonheim. I haven't heard of him personally, but I'll look out for his name. Thank you for mentioning him, and hopefully I will get a chance to train with him one day. How do you think Bonical versus Rodolfo Vieira will play out? Will the ground game just cancel out? That's from Assam. Oh, they're fighting each other. I didn't know that. That's an interesting fight. I'm not... I haven't been watching Rodolfo Vieira's fights really closely, but I've noticed, he's been doing more stuff on the feet. He's been developing his striking. I'm not watching him super closely. Bonical, I've seen all his fights. I know him very well. I know exactly what he's been, all his exchanges and all that. That's an interesting one. That's an very interesting fight. Bonical just had a loss. How's he going to deal with it this time? Is he going to try to take down the guy who's really, really good on the ground. Like it's a tough one. And Rodolfo, I've seen like he's had trouble with his gas tank. That's another major factor. It's interesting. I don't know Rodolfo too well. I haven't seen how much he's evolved. I haven't really looked at him very closely. I was at an event he was fighting at, so I got to see some of his fight. And it's interesting, man. It's really interesting. I don't know too much about him, so I can't really say too much. Coach, can you talk a bit about psychopaths and manipulation? That's from Adam Rogers. Wow. That's an interesting topic. Psychopaths and manipulation. Whoa. Well, friends, I'll tell you something. Psychopaths, you want to keep them at bay. You want to keep them as far away from you as possible because that's a very dangerous person. They feel no empathy. They give this illusion of feeling empathy. They mimic people's human emotions, but that's just appearance of caring. There's just appearance of compassion, empathy. They have no empathy or compassion. To them, harming you is like squashing a bug. They don't just go about their day. They don't lament about it. They don't have any regret or whatnot. So keep those people at bay as much as possible. If you sense somebody is like that. And manipulation, well, you can definitely expect them to manipulate you because they only are going to say or do or behave in a way that's going to get them what they want. They have no empathy. So I would tell you, look, me personally, I always try to assess what's fair. Like if somebody's treating me unfairly, I consider that manipulation. And I don't accept it. So if I feel something's unfair, I voice my opinion. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but I always try to treat people extremely fairly and be generous. And I feel somebody's not being fair with me, I got to kind of like tell them, like I've noticed you're not being fair. I don't like to operate that way. And I'm very open about it. I don't try to hide it or conceal it. Now, of course, I'm a shy person too. So sometimes I might let people get away with it, but not in a big way, not in a regular way, not in a blatant way that's life-changing or life-altering. So be very careful, guys. Learn to be generous, kind, friendly, but don't be a doormat. So people who are manipulators are looking for people who allow themselves to be doormats. Because don't ever forget. Remember this. I want you to remember what I'm about to tell you for the rest of your life. You teach people around you how they can treat you. By your acceptance, by your not saying anything, by your kind of turning the blind eye or the blind ear, you're allowing that person to step all over you. So when somebody does something that's out of hand, confront them in a nice way. Say, look, I don't really appreciate when somebody talks to me that way, And I would tell you guys, always try to minimize the drama because I live with a group of alpha males. Like when I go in the gym, it's all alpha males. And sometimes I find like, okay, somebody overstepped, but you overreacted. It's always best to not do it in front of people. So let's say, for instance, I'm anywhere. I don't care if I'm in any social situation, whether it's in the gym, in an airport, or whatever. Find the appropriate time to address it. So sometimes it's not the appropriate time. So let's say, I don't know, you're at a dinner party. Somebody says something you don't like, and it was kind of rude. Well, don't ruin the entire dinner party and change the mood. Kind of laugh it off, smile, whatever. Leave it. And then maybe after the dinner party, a day or so passes, you call that person up. You say, hey, man, you mind if I talk to you? Yeah, you said this and that. I got to be honest with you. I really don't appreciate that. I really think it's disrespectful. And, you see what you get back. Now, if that person doesn't sympathize, they don't care, and they're like, hey, you know what? Too bad for you. Okay, well, we're not friends. That's it. It's okay not to be friends. Me and that person, we don't mix. The next time you get invited to that dinner party, you got to ask, is that person there? Well, if they're there, look, I'm not interested in going. If they're there, I'm not coming. If they're not there, okay, I'm happy to come. You got to learn to draw boundaries. Because at the end of the day, people are going to be like, hey, don't disrespect that person because that's the end of your relationship. But I've seen people get stepped on and 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 stepped on. And all of a sudden, they're like, why does everybody treat me so bad? Well, look, people think it's okay. You taught them that it's okay, that you accept it. It doesn't bother you. Whereas I think in an appropriate way, bring it up. But also, you don't want to be the type of guy who is so sensitive, where everything bothers you. I've seen guys like that. Every little word and everything's a disrespect, and it's like, it's annoyance, especially like people who've done hard time. Like if you ever had a friend or somebody, once upon a time they were in jail for a while, and then they come out of jail and they're trying to rehabilitate their life and trying to get back to normal life, and all of a sudden they have that like prison culture ideas. They have, because in prison, for what I understand, Like everything has to be made even. Somebody, stepped on my foot. Well, whoa. That's not acceptable because if he does it and I don't do anything about it, everybody. It's like this alpha male type personality. Now, I know a lot of you, maybe you're working in an office and it's the complete opposite. Everybody's courteous and frank. Yes, that's true. But there are other facets of society where that kind of behavior, if left unaddressed, will exponentially get worse. And I know some people hearing this might be like, well, they're just guys, that's just immature. I agree with you. You can't be immature. But if you're in that environment, you got to learn how to deal with it, because I'll be honest with you guys. Me, like when I'm out and about, I try to be as courteous as possible to everybody, as nice as possible to everybody. But if you come across a certain type of person, they think that courtesy is a weakness, and they're like, oh, well, if he's going to open the door for me, then let me, also smack him behind the head because he's going to allow. No, that I'm not going to allow. You know what I mean? It's just like people take advantage of kindness. They think it's weakness, so let's step on the guy. That's why kindness has to come from a backbone of strength, and you learn to stand up for yourself, but always do it in a way that's appropriate. All right, guys, don't forget, I'm always doing super chats and non-super chats. This is Dero Nomer. As a non-religious person, and if any faith were true, I sincerely hope it's Islam. Heaven seems incredible. With the Christian/Judaic afterlife, seems like you're just stare at God's feet for all of eternity. That's from Dero Nomer. Guys, in Islamic theology, paradise is a place where you can drink, you have women, you have unlimited pleasures, and the crowning jewel is, in Islam, you get to see God. Okay, now what does that mean? Let's not get into it too deep, but you get to see God. And there's different levels of seeing God. Not everybody's going to see God the same way. Those who are better on this earth, everything is merit-based. You're going to get to see the best of the best. You're going to get to see God even more clearly. So yes, there are bodily pleasures and all this, yeah, but the ultimate is not. It's a spiritual type pleasure. It's a spiritual type pleasure. So in Islamic religion, we have it all. Now, what do the Christians say is heaven, or we would call it paradise, they call it heaven? It's you walk with God. Now, again, it's bliss, guys. It's bliss. It's not bodily pleasure. It's not this or that. But you're right. I would agree with you. I'd like to have both. I would like to have both. I would like to have bodily pleasure and spiritual pleasure. And I think in this life you have to have both. Like, for instance, I like bodily pleasure. I'm not ashamed to say it. I have a wife. I have a woman in my life, and I enjoy that part of my life immensely, and I have no reservations about it. But in Christianity, if you read the writings of Paul, now in Christianity, it's perfectly fine to have relations with your wife. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay. But in Christianity, if you read the writings of Paul, he encourages celibacy if you're the highest of the high. Like if you're reaching the highest level, if you want to get closer to Christ, abstain from women. Which honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, my opinion, and I don't want to pick on my Christian friends. I know there's a lot of Christian listeners. Okay, well, I say this with utmost respect. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's healthy. Because Paul himself, he claimed to be celibate. Now, this is very difficult for me to understand. And I'll say this again with utmost respect. Because Paul says he's the Pharisee of Pharisees. Pharisee just means Jew, okay? There's no... Jews don't call themselves Pharisee anymore, but back then it just meant what you would know today as a religious Jewish person, okay? He's like, I'm the most Jewish of them all. Like, he follows the law. Like, he's the most... This is before he had his Damascus experience. Before he claims to have had a revelation from Jesus Christ. He was on the road to Damascus. Very famously, he has a vision and he sees the Christ. Okay? And he becomes an apostle of Christ. But before that, he was a strict Jew who observed the law, and a Jewish person at his age would have to be married. How could you be a celibate Jew? Like, if you could ask any rabbi, Jewish rabbi, say, should I be celibate? Be like, no, of course not. The Bible says, be fruitful and multiply. So how are you, a Jew of Jews, a Pharisee of Pharisees? Okay, he used the word Pharisee. Again, Pharisee, we don't use that anymore. It's gone obsolete now. They use just the word like a religious person, okay, a religious Jewish person. How could you be the religious Jewish person of the religious Jewish people and be at your age at the time that you had your revelation of Christ? Before that, you'd have to be married. There's no Jewish man who's not married. And in the book of Acts, it claims he was trained under Gamliel. That's like, you're trained under the highest rabbi, but you didn't follow the law, and part of the law is to be married. Like, find me a rabbi or find me a religious Jew who doesn't think it's important to be married. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. All Jewish people get married. So I don't understand how he could say he's celibate. Maybe he's celibate from that point on, but from what I understood reading his materials, it seems like he's claiming celibacy is the way. Now, how could celibacy be the way? It doesn't make any sense. If our forefathers were celibate, we wouldn't exist. Now he's saying, okay, the elite, like those, like, let's call them the clergy, because I know there's different factions, okay? And different factions have different names. But look what happened to the Catholic Church. They had this scandal of priests doing the most heinous and worst thing you can do. But that's because you gave them a mission that's unsustainable. It's unfulfillable. It's like saying, look, coach, we don't want you ever to eat. It's like, but I smell food everywhere I go, like I have these urges. It's part of my biology. I need to eat, I see food. I'm hungry. No, don't eat. Never eat. It's not even like eat a little bit or eat very little. No, you can never taste food for the rest of your life. So that's all I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with food. I'm going to be tossing and turning and sleeping, and I'm going to be thinking about food 24 hours a day. The people who, sex is the most important to people who don't have it. When you have it in abundance, when you have that access to it in abundance, it's not that big of a deal anymore. It's not that big of a deal. You're like, you tell yourself, why do people make such a big deal out of this? Well, because they don't get it. They don't get the kind that they want. So they obsess over it. Whoever is the most obsessed with it is usually the person who can't get it. So that's why you see like artists, they glorify it because they know that the masses are not getting it at that level. So they're like, oh, look, that's what they want. That's what they're hungry for. That's what they desire the most. If I tell you can't have something ever, well, it makes you want it more. Especially a biological drive like that. So I think the Catholics, or that element, it was a time bomb. It was going to happen eventually, and it shouldn't happen, of course. That's why I think if you read, that's why I always found strange, is that if you read the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible, all the prophets are married in abundance, okay? They have more than one wife. Let's just call it that, okay? They're having an abundance of activity, sexual activity. Why now are these, like, you're a continuation? Why are you cutting these men off? They can't, wait, you want them to be higher than the prophets? It's not realistic, in my opinion. And here's the thing, I'll be honest with you. I also think it's highly unlikely Jesus Christ was not married. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. He was in his 30s, and he was walking around. They report him walking around with Mary Magdalene. Now, if you know anything about first century Judaism, they were very religious Jews. It's not like today, hey, you call Tiffany and you're like, hey, let's go have a coffee together, and you hang around with Tiffany and she's just my friend. No, guys, she's just my friend. We're going to class together. We're going on movies together. But no, it's just platonic. There's nothing going on between me and her. We're just buddies. It's not like that. Today, you might have that kind of dynamic. But in first century Judaism, if a girl was walking around with a guy, he better be her husband, her brother, her father, her chaperone of some sort, a relative, like a close cousin. She can't just walk around with some guy. Okay? Now, if she's his wife, she's welcome to walk around with him. It's like if you look at a religious society, now there's not too many that follow the rules. And believe me, the Jewish people had a lot of rules. They have 613 rules to live by. You can't just get up. And let me tell you something. The Jewish people of the first century were incredibly observant of the rules. Like, it was like really important, to the fact that if you break the rules, many of the rules, you could be put to death. I'm just going to say that again, okay? If you break the rules, we take it so seriously, we're going to murk you. Okay? That's how serious it was. So if you tell me a story about a rabbi walking around Jerusalem, and he's walking around with a girl on a regular basis, and that girl is always the same girl, always around with him, well, some scholars say she must have been his wife. How could the society allow that? They would have complained. So I really find, like, I've read so much about the story of Christ. Oh my goodness gracious. So much commentary, so many scholars. I've read so many of their works. I've listened to so many lectures. I'm so interested in first century, very interested. And a lot of them say, look, it's not realistic to say that he was walking around with a girl and they were not married. It's not realistic, because it would have been a major sticking point for the Jews at that time. Okay, friends, I know I probably missed a couple of super chats. I'm going to zoom back to try to get them all, and then we're going to get close to ending this. Let me make sure I got them all. Salam Coach from UK. I have your advanced basics guard retention and want to ask what's the difference is with that and power guard retention 1. That's from Shukran. Salam Coach, I have your advanced basics. Okay, advanced basics guard retention is it's less advanced. Okay. Powerful guard retention 1 is there are some things that are similar, but there are things that are very new, more advanced, more subtle stuff. It's not a basics video. Even though I do touch on some of the concepts from Advanced Basics. Okay, Advanced Basics is a bit of a different series. This series sees other attacks. I show the Choi bar in there. I show different entanglements, more advanced stuff. So it's just basically more advanced. Even though some of the core principles, I had to make sure they were repeated because that's the stuff you got to have all the time and review it. And I added some nuances. Okay, so there's a little bit of overlap, but some very new stuff as well. Okay. Salam Coach, any advice for a 23-year-old to judge whether my girlfriend of 1.5 years is the right one to start a family with? Shukran for everything. That's from Adhi. Adhi, do me a favor. Introduce her to your mother. Okay, Adhi, introduce her to your mother, introduce her to your parents, tell your parents, look, I'm getting serious. And then meet her parents. Look at her parents. Are they honest people? Are they a good example for her? Because that's probably what they call in psychology her love map. However, her parents is generally, it's not certain she's going to repeat it, but it's something she's going to incline to. So if you tell me, she never knew her daddy, that may be a problem. If her daddy was good, but then he cheated on her mom and he left them at 5 and they never spoke again, that's another problem. Red flag. Not saying that's her destiny, but has she made her peace with it? Has she outgrown it? Because that's something that later on in psychology, they say, look, statistically speaking, guys, don't forget, I don't just have a degree in philosophy, I also have one in sociology, okay? So I'm telling you guys, it's a problem in the sense that they have more of a chance statistically of repeating it. If her daddy was a drug dealer when she was growing up, that might be a problem. You know what I mean? So like, look, do some background checking. How's her family? Do they have a close family unit? Do they spend quality time together, or does she, are they strangers to her? Because if they're strangers to her, once you have your children, once you have your family, she might have trouble connecting with the family. She might have trouble with the family over the house because she's not used to that, So for instance, if you take a girl who grew up with a family who's very connected, very close knit, and then your family is like that, she's not going to mind your in-laws coming in. She's expecting them to visit. She's expecting them because that's what families do. We visit each other and we're constantly in each other's space, and we orbit around each other on a regular basis. That might be discomforting to somebody who's not used to that. Okay, so then there's going to have to be a compromise. There's going to have to be a gradual fix. Because I will tell you something. The reason why you get married is for a family. Like if you're never planning on having a family, like for instance, I'll be honest with you guys. If it wasn't haram to have a girlfriend, I would never get married unless I want to have kids. Like why would I get married? Why would I commit myself to one woman? Why don't I just keep recycling them? Why don't I just keep send her next, and bring me a fresh one. Bring me another one. This one's got back up. Bring me another one. She's giving me trouble. Bring me another one. No, not when you're married. Now, of course, you should never do that. I'm just saying the whole point of getting married is to raise kids. Now, when you talk about raising kids, there's an old saying, and I'm going to say this saying, and I want you guys to remember this for the rest of your lives. It takes a village to raise a child. A child needs a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, an uncle, a neighbor, childhood friends. Like he needs all this community, a teacher, a coach. Like he needs all this to have a rich, full upbringing. Then he becomes a well-balanced human being. Okay, because let's say I just take away the father. Well, then he's gonna have, no joke, this is very true what I'm about to say. Okay, he might have female mannerisms. Let's say he just grew up with his mom and his aunt. Let's say. He's just around women. I know guys who grew up just around women or primarily raised by women. So they start to think and have female mannerisms. And then when you put them with a group of guys, they don't know how to interact with them. They're like, this is alien to me. You put them in a soccer team or you put them in a camp, on the weekend they're camping and they have to go sit with the guys and the guys are acting all sorts of, guys act very different than girls. They're goofing off, they're pranking each other. He's taking it personally because, when he was with his sister and his mother, they never did this. They never razzed him. You know, they never picked on him. Guys, when we're together, we pick on each other, we make jokes. It's all playing around. It's all fun and games. But he's not used to that kind of language. He's not used to that kind of environment. So for him, he's not blending in. He's not getting in on the jokes. He's not going tit for tat with them. He's not having fun. He's having a bad experience. Oh, they don't like me. They reject me. Well, really, when they were making fun of you, or when they played a prank on you, they were trying to kind of showing you love, but you took it as something, an offense. Why? He's not used to that male language. He's not used to that male environment. That's just taking the father away. Now, if you take the mother away, then you have a guy maybe who's not very compassionate, not very socially aware, etc. He's going to have some weakness. Now, when he has the funny uncle, who's kind of like, spoil him with gifts, he's gonna get another perspective. And then he's got the grandparents. The grandparents, okay, they're always sneaking him off, taking him to the zoo, giving him a really positive experience. He's gonna get another dynamic of relationships. Oh, look, this is the grandfather style relationship, and he's gonna learn to respect his elders. And then of course he's got his soccer coach. Let's say, and his soccer coach is really tough on him. Why? Because he's teaching him the art of competition, and he's gonna have all these dimensions. And each dimension makes his life richer, makes him more of a complete personality, etc. It helps him grow. That's why they say it takes a village to raise a child. He needs all these elements to fully develop his maximum potential, to kind of understand the world around him, to kind of connect, have more chance to connect with every type of person and every type of personality. So I would tell you, look, what's her surrounding? How was she raised? Like, what's her family like? How does she interact with your mom? Usually I would trust my mother. I'll be honest with you. The number one criteria, if my mother or father told me they didn't like the girl I want to marry, I wouldn't consider her anymore. I would tell her, look, you failed to impress my parents. I'll give you a second chance. I'll ask them if they'll meet with you again. But you better wow them somehow, some way. I don't know how you're going to do it, but figure it out. Because if I don't have their blessing, I wouldn't marry her. I wouldn't marry her. But I think nowadays people are kind of crazy because they're like, oh, I don't care if my mom loves or doesn't love my future partner. The hell with my parents, what they think. I think that's completely wrong. That's just insane. Your parents have been there, done that. They know, they see something in that person you don't see, and you don't trust your own parents. I think probably has a lot to do with people's relationship with their parents. But I grew up trusting my parents. They were always there, taking care of me. They were honest people. They were always they always did the right thing. So I trust them completely. And that's why I hope my children are going to trust me just as much. Because believe me, if they bring me somebody and I don't like them, I'm going to let them know. In a nice way, I'm going to tell them, look, this is not the person for you, and here's why. And I'm very confident that my children will do as I say. I'm very confident because they're going to be like, oh, my father sees something I don't, but I trust my father. But also, again, have a good relationship with my children. This is very key. If you don't have a good relationship with your children, they don't trust you. Okay. I have my third BJJ comp tomorrow. Moved from Masters to Adult due to limited numbers in Masters. First time with sub-only rules set. Any advice, coach? That's from Sean. Sean, that's fantastic. Sub-only, I will tell you this, okay? When you're competing, don't lose track of your breath. So start breathing in and out. Focus on your breath. And then when you start competing, try to focus on your air, okay? Because you seem like you might be a little bit nervous. Focus on your breathing as you're competing. Because a lot of time when people are nervous, the difference between what they're doing in the practice room and what they're doing in competition, they're holding their breath for some reason. Why? Because their breathing is either very shallow or they're holding their breath. So I would tell you, take a few minutes, take 10 minutes out of the day today and just focus on your breath going in and out. Okay. And then try to do that on fight day. So you practice a little bit before fight day. You said your competition is tomorrow, so you don't have much time to practice, but do it today and tomorrow before the competition, as you're driving there, practice on your breathing, what it feels like to breathe correctly. And then when you start rolling, try to keep that feeling. If you breathe correctly, your mind will be calmer and you won't gas yourself out as quick. Okay, we did that one. Sam, coach, how do you assess the Islamic position on psychopaths? If they are born like that, is it their personal jihad that they must overcome? That's Sham Jobo. Well, in Islam, it says some human beings appear as humans and they're not. I think personally it's a reference to psychopaths. But again, that's not a scholarly opinion. That's just a Muslim philosopher's opinion. And I haven't heard the scholarly opinion on psychopaths. That's something I should look up. I should know. I apologize that I don't know the official position. But I'll tell you, I would think that's how I reasoned. Because I've met people who are psychopathic. And I will tell you something. I didn't feel like they were human. I don't want to name names, but some psychopaths are quite popular. And they get away with just pretending to be human. They pretend, oh, this is an occasion where I should be angry. Oh, I'm going to act angry. Well, actually, they do get angry a little bit, but it's like they don't have compassion. So, oh, this is a situation where I should act compassionate. Let me fake it. And it's a scary thing because there's really nobody inside there like me and you are. Okay, they don't have that compassion. So for me, I don't consider them to be human. How could you be human without compassion? I think that makes you, I hate to say the word, but more of an animal than a human being, because that's what separates us between animals, human beings and animals. What separates a human being from an animal? We have greater amounts of compassion. There are other things that separate us: metacognition, okay, self-awareness, etc. We dream about the future. Animals don't seem to dream about the future. We have aspirations of the future. They don't. Okay. And above all, we have metacognition, which is we have thoughts about our thoughts. We philosophize about our thoughts. And above that, even higher, man has religion. Animals have no concept of religion. They have no concept of religion. They don't practice any type of religiosity. So we have metacognition, we have spirituality, religion, and we have dreams. We think of the future. We have aspirations of the future. This is something very special no other creature has. I got married recently, alhamdulillah, but I get sick frequently after marriage. What? I get sick frequently after marriage. How can I get healthy? That's from 4K views. 4K views. Are you saying that you're associating you getting sick with getting married? Like, is she putting like a detergent in your food every day? Is she cooking for you? First of all, if you're associating the two, I would tell you, start eating out or start cooking your own food, because maybe she's slowly poisoning you. I don't see how the two in any sense are related. Like, they shouldn't be, obviously. I would tell you, look, go see a physician. Read 8 Weeks to Optimum Health by Dr. Weil. I think it's a fantastic book. 8 Weeks to Optimal Health. Check it out. It's a good book, help you get started. But I don't see how the two are related. For us, huge fan of your work. Quick question. I just had my first baby. I'm a purple belt. Used to train 5 times a week. Now only 3 times. What top 3 things should I focus on to still progress fast? That's from Endless Vitality. Wow, Endless Vitality, man. Congratulations. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for your kind words, and mabruk to you and your family. Inshallah, you have a healthy baby. Look, I would tell you, when I'm home with the baby, I would do a fitness routine. Okay, while the baby's sleeping, all you need is very little equipment. Okay, so if you have more equipment, great. If you don't have a lot of equipment, just a kettlebell, body weight, a bar, you could do plenty. So at home, I would do my physical conditioning. When I'm at the gym, because I have limited time, I could only go 3 times a week. I would focus only on guard, like how to pass the guard and how to attack from guard. I wouldn't do any other positions because you don't have the time. So when you compete, if the guy passes your guard, you're pretty much going to lose. But your guard should be unpassable. The less time you have in the practice room, the more you should focus on guard. Why? Because that's the position that usually dictates the winner. If you're able to sweep and pass, you're going to win. If you're able to, if nobody can pass your guard, you can't lose. So it's the nucleus of competition. Now, also, while I'm at home, I would probably study videos, instructional videos and stuff like that, just to like get more, understand the game at a deeper level. So at home, I would do a fitness routine, because it doesn't matter if you have a baby, the baby's sleeping 18 hours a day, 14 hours a day. You're going to have time to squeeze it in. And then you could study the game cerebrally. And then when you're on the mat, focus on one thing. Guard. That's it. Hi, coach. My next opponent's nickname is Absolute Garbage. How do I defeat him? That's from Sam. Sam is fighting somebody. His next opponent is a man named Absolute Garbage. Now, I'm going to look up Absolute Garbage because I think he's making it up. Because one of my students, his name is Rat Garbage, and he just won a big fight on Contender Series. MMA fighter. What's the name? Absolute Garbage? Because if that name is not taken, I might take it for what? Oh, that's a quote. Sorry. No, I don't think there's a fighter named Absolute Garbage, or he's a small-time fighter. Listen, I really, I really find that a funny name, because Red Garbage is good. It's a good, funny name, but Absolute Garbage, that's a really, really, really good name. I would say soap and water. Like perfume yourself before. Perfume yourself before, and it should repel him. It should be his kryptonite. Salam, coach. Do you know Amir Goham, BJJ black belt? That's from MI. MI, you already asked me that question, man. I answered it already. This is new. You just sent me another super chat to ask me the same question. I already answered that previously. You might have missed it, but I answered your question previously. No, I have not heard of him, but I'll try to look him up. Thank you. This is from Shiz. Coach. Okay, so this is from Shiz, guys. Top G of the chat room. Coach Josh Thompson believes Khamzat can't win in welterweight. Will be bad look if he loses and moves up to middleweight. Strongly disagree. KO'd in 13 seconds. Lifted leech. Took Gilbert's hardest shots. He dominated the 170 division. That's from Shiz. Shiz, I'll be honest with you. When you go up a weight class, it's rare guys go back down a weight class and are successful. However, Khamzat Shomaev is no ordinary guy. I think if he gets a good dietitian and if he gets a scientific dietitian, not some Joe Blow who did a weekend certificate, he could make 170 maybe easier than he did in the past. But it's a long-term process. I don't think he should fluctuate from 185 to 170 and seesaw back and forth. No, if you're going to do a 170 fight, you need 6 months to go back to down to 170. You have to do it the smart way. And there's millions of dollars at stake. He's got to do it right. So when he gets to 170, he performs well. I think he can do it. He's an exceptional human being. He's not like everybody else. But statistically speaking, once guys go up a weight class, they generally never come back down and perform like they did in the past. Okay, I don't want to start naming names, but we can do that. We've seen it. Guys go up a weight class. They get comfortable in that weight class, and they come back down. They can never do the weight like they used to. Khamzat can do it. But now I've heard he's been making bank. Okay, so he's got friends in high places with lots of money that have donated to him, and I hope it's true, but I've heard he's gotten serious money. That's outside his UFC win money. And I'm really happy for him. I hope that's true. Inshallah, it's true. But if he's smart, he would get a dietitian, like reinvest that money and do things the correct way. All right, guys, let's end it on something fun and light because I have to head out to the next practice of the day. Please, something light, funny, and easy. Coach, thoughts on credit cards? If I pay off my bills every time, are they halal? I want to get one, but saw some opinions saying the hadith that the Prophet cursed everyone who involved in contracts that has riba. That's what I had. Rayan, you're going to have to ask a mufti. Okay, I'm not that knowledgeable, but the thing is, in our day and age, sometimes you can't get away. You can't move. You can't buy or move without. They only accept credit cards. So it's a trap, yes, definitely, and you should avoid paying interest at all costs, riba at all costs. Why make somebody else rich? They use it against you. They compound the interest. It's a deadly game. That's how they keep poor people poor. That's how the rich people stay incredibly rich without lifting a finger. So I'm totally on board with that. Speak to a mufti, look it up, do some research, but this is a very sensitive question. All right, guys, somebody give me something funny to end up on. Farzan, I'm not going to do that one now because it's too late but ask me again in the future chat. I'll be happy to answer that. Yamalate. Nice try. Okay, guys, somebody give me something funny to end up on. Coach, do you dye your beard? Yes, I do. That's from Roy Ray. Yes, I like to keep my beard black. Fazal, look up Zone 2 cardio. How many Jordan Petersons does it take to kill a gorilla? That's from Yusuf. Infinite, because he's too much of a coward. He would never engage a gorilla. He's too much of a coward. He would just ball up into a fetal position and cry. Did you try Polish food yet? No, unfortunately not. That's from Bob Chef. Bob Chef, I really love to try different cuisines. I'm excited in trying Polish food one day. Come on, guys. Something light and funny, man. What's going on here? What's the matter with you guys? You guys are supposed to be the creative. I'm expecting something creative over here. Coach, you look Iranian. Haha, I always thought you were. That's from Vancouver. No, not Iranian. I'm Lebanese. Guys, no serious philosophy questions now. It's too late for that. I want to end something light and funny. Goodness gracious, gentlemen. Come on. What? There's no personality in the chat room today? There's no personality, only philosophers? Coach, thoughts on Tate's latest philosophical episode? I think you'd find it interesting. That's from Rayan. Which Tate? Andrew Tate? Funny moments with GSP. Oh, it's not story time. Something funny, man. Oh, this is a good one. This is from Sublime. Finally, some creativity in the chat room. Goodness gracious. Thank you, Sublime. Sublime asks, would Muhammad Ali plus Bruce Lee beat Tom Aspinall in a 2-on-1? That's from Sublime. Sublime, you're the man. That is a beautiful question. Guys, I would pick Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali. I'll tell you why. Because they would surround him, and, Aspinall has kind of that leaning back type style, and I'd see Bruce Lee kind of zip in there with his kicks, and Muhammad Ali throwing his punches. And, of course, he would tackle one of them to the ground while the other would just put on the death touch. So, let's say he tackles Bruce Lee to the ground. Muhammad Ali would just come up behind him and crack, pow, with one of those shots. And if he tackled Muhammad Ali, it wouldn't be long before Bruce would be throwing a spinning or side kick to the jaw or side kick to the ribs that would cripple Aspinall. Now, of course, 1-on-1, it's Aspinall all day long. However, 2-on-1, Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, and Bruce Lee, one of the greatest movie stars of all time, who actually could kick and punch with incredible power and force. He's demonstrated it multiple times. There's no way Aspinall beats these two. A second he's engaged in one of them, the other one comes out with some blinding attack that puts him away. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I do. Please use summer50 off as a promo code and get 50% off anything on jujiclub.com. Check out, very importantly, my latest video, effortless guard retention, how to deal with half guard pressure. As the man from the bottom, how do you deal with half guard pressure? A lot of people are doing it wrong, spending a lot of energy and getting crushed. Check out that video. It's a video with some incredible solutions. Thank you all for tuning in, and see you all in the next episode. Thank you.